Good evening. Happy Sabbath. Welcome, everyone. I'm sure you're wondering, what in the world kind of title is this? To be saying Adventists aren't Christians. Well, these aren't my words. These are the words of some people that we're going to be taking a look at later in the study. I want to remind everyone this is a live Bible study, and we're in a different set today. This is not our usual location. I'm on the road at the moment and didn't want to miss the study regardless. So we just set up temporary right here. And I'm so glad that you're joining us. We're going to be talking about the image of the beast and the fact that it is really here now, that we are seeing it play out this very minute. And we're going to see this from the Bible. This is a live Bible study, so if you have questions, put them in the comment section, the live chat, the live comments on whatever platform you are, and we'll try and answer as many of those questions as we can at the end of the study. Also, we have some resources on this very topic. We did a mini documentary series called America's Prophetic Destiny. It's a 4-part series. Make sure you take a look at those. Plus, we have a study guide, The Image of the Beast. So now we're going to have a prayer and then get right into our study. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you so much that we can be together through this technology, that we can study your word, that we can open our Bibles and see that prophecy is fulfilling right in front of us. Lord, give us your spirit. Be with my mouth as I speak, that it would be your words and not my own. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so we're going to start right away into the study. I will share my screen and we will start going through this information. Okay. So the image of the beast. What is the image of the beast? This is a very important point. And when are we supposed to see the image of the beast? Now, as we're going through our timeline of events, you'll have remembered that we're going through, and actually, I'm going to pull this up. I need to add one more thing here because you need to see the timeline here. I'm going to pull this up for you right now. We're building out this timeline of events, these final events, so that it's easy for everyone to see. And by the end of all the studies, you're going to see how incredible this is. Okay. Now, if I can have Jacob let me know if I'm on the right slides, because now that we are not in the studio, I can't see what everyone's seeing. So if he can just give me a chat saying that everything's good at the moment, that'd be great. So we have our timeline here. And this was covered in the Judgment Day studies. So if you haven't seen those, go back to the Judgment Day studies so that you can review this time frame. What we're going over in the final countdown is this set of events right here. So we already have gone through 1888, 2001, and we started going through the sealing of the 144,000. And now we are covering this right here, image of the beast, right here. And then after this, once we find out, because this image needs to be set up before any of these Sunday law events come into place, or the mark of the beast and all of this. And then we have the timeline of the steps of going into the no buy, no sell. And then we have the loud cry, this time where we're going to have to grow our own food because there's no buy, no sell. Satan's appearing, and then we have the third woe, and all of these very interesting points. So today we are right here, going through the image of the beast. Now we'll switch back over. And we need to see what is the image of the beast. This is where we need to start. Give me 1 second. My slides are not responding at the moment. I apologize. We'll have to restart. So while the slides are restarting, let's go to Revelation chapter 13. Revelation chapter 13. And we're going to start in verse 11. Verse 11. Oh, slides just came back. Okay, good. Now we'll share these again. There. And we should be good now. Revelation 13, verse 13 to 15. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. Now this is talking about the second beast in Revelation 13. I'm going to go back in the Bible here, and we're going to start at verse 11. And I beheld another beast come up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So this beast here, and a beast represents a kingdom in Bible prophecy. We see that in Daniel chapter 7, verse 16 and 17. So here we have this new world power, this new kingdom that is coming. And it looks good. It looks lamb-like. It looks Christian even. It looks like a good thing. But it will speak as a dragon. And this is what we're watching out for. Now if we go to verse 12, this is a very important point. Now this verse 12 we're going to talk about in some of the later studies. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him. And the first beast is the papal beast. From all the criteria going through Revelation 13, verse 1 to 10, we can undoubtedly identify that that beast is the Roman papacy that ruled from 538 to 1798. And it says that this second beast, which is the United States of America, which we covered in some of the earlier studies at the start of the final countdown. If you go back, you can review some of those. All the power of the first beast. Now that's a very fascinating thing. And causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Now we're going to go back to the slides. Verse 13, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles. So he's going to deceive the world by miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast. So there's the image of the beast. We need to find out now, what exactly does that mean? Which had the wound by a sword and did live. So pointing back to the papal beast. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Now, when you make an image to something, it looks like the thing. It looks like what you made an image of. Daniel 7:17 and 23. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom. So we see here the beasts are kingdoms. Just reiterating what we talked about. Now, here's a little bit about the image. Genesis 1:26, and God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. So when something is an image of something, it is a likeness of that thing. It is similar to that thing. It looks like that thing. When you see your image in a mirror, it looks like you, if not identical to you. Exodus 20, verse 4. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above or is in the earth beneath. So an image is a likeness. So when it says an image to the beast, it is going to look like the beast. This America will look like the papacy of the Dark Ages. That is very fascinating. And that is something that we're going to get into a lot more as we continue through the studies. Revelation 13:14, by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast. This is from Daniel and Revelation. To understand what would be an image of the papacy, we must first gain some definite idea of what constitutes the papacy itself. Does that not make sense? That if we're trying to understand the image of something, let's go back to the thing itself, and then we'll be able to understand the image. The full development of the beast, or the establishment of papal supremacy, dates from the famous letter of Justinian, which was made effective in AD 538, constituting the Pope the head of the church and the corrector of heretics. The papacy was a church clothed with civil power, an ecclesiastical body having authority to punish all dissenters with confiscation of goods, imprisonment, torture, and death. What would be an image of the papacy? Now, if you're paying attention, you're going to see when the Bible is being that specific, it's saying an image of the beast. It's not saying just in one aspect, it's saying in all aspects. It's going to look like it. And this was a church that was clothed with civil power. And it had the authority to punish all dissenters. Imprisonment, torture, death, all of these things it would try to do to people who did not agree with it. Another ecclesiastical establishment clothed with similar power. How could such an image be formed in the United States? This is something that, how could this even happen? 20 years ago, when we would talk about this, nobody would believe it. Nobody would think that something is like this could actually happen in the US. Something must really need to change. Now, it's not so far-fetched. And we're going to see that even stronger. I have some clips I'm going to show you guys later. If you have anybody you think would be should be listening to this study, share the link, because you're not going to want to miss the videos and clips that I'm going to share with you. It drives this point home very strongly. Let the Protestant churches be clothed with power to define and punish heresy, to enforce their dogmas under the pains and penalties of the civil law. And should we not have an exact representation of the papacy during the days of its supremacy? So if we have the Protestant churches in charge of the state and able to punish heresy or what they deem heresy, we're going to have an exact replica of the papacy of the Dark Ages. Now, this is from Uriah Smith, The Marvel of Nations in 1897. I think this is absolutely a fascinating quote because of how he's saying it. Now, in our day and age, we can see this playing out, but for him to have the foresight on what he said is just incredible. The opposition to the religious amendment manifested in many parts of the country, especially by liberal or infidel element. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Is thought by many to be an insuperable barrier in the way of its success. So the left looks like, how could you even defeat that? They're so strong. You got so much pushing in that direction. How could we even go for that barrier? But if we mistake not, this is the very stimulus which will excite its friends to such exertion that it will ultimately be secured. So because the left is pushing so hard, it's making the right have to push harder. For the opposition assumes such an aggressive attitude that no neutral ground is left. An irrepressible conflict is precipitated. It must be victory or defeat of the most decisive kind with either party. And we can see that either it's left or it's right. There's not really a middle ground at this point. The government must become nominally wholly Christian or in reality wholly secular. That is absolutely incredible that he is pointing this out here in 1897. Either it's the left or it's the right, but they're going to push each other. This pendulum's going to keep swinging until it sits at the very spot it needs to. The Great Controversy, page 445. When the leading churches of the United States, and remember, we're answering the question, what is the image of the beast? And when will it be formed? Uniting upon such points of doctrine as are held by them in common, shall influence the state to enforce their decrees and to sustain their institutions, then Protestant America will have formed an image of the Roman hierarchy. And the infliction of civil penalties upon dissenters will inevitably result. So once these churches of the United States influence the state to enforce their decrees and sustain their institutions, that's a very fascinating part, then will Protestant America have formed an image to the beast. Because when does it become the image of the papacy? When you have the same power structure, when you have the church state combined. This is when you have the image of the beast formed. It has to be a blend of this power structure, a blend of church and state. We're already seeing this happening right now. And it's getting very intense. The image to the beast represents that form of apostate Protestantism, which will be developed when the Protestant churches shall seek the aid of the civil power for the enforcement of their dogmas. Another organization, this is from Thoughts on Daniel and Revelation, another organization called the American Sabbath Union has come into existence to forward the movement in behalf of Sunday observance. And other reform organizations have swung into the same line. Notable among these is the Women's Christian Temperance Union, which has great strength in the United States and many auxiliaries in other lands as well. This organization, having at first in view the one specific objective of temperance reform, has now added to its declared intentions the enthroning of Christ in American politics. Wow. In order to secure in this land a theocracy and the better observance of the Sunday. Do you see this? These Christian organizations, even back then, were shifting around to the enforcement and support of Sunday observance. In this theocracy, of course, if established, theological leaders would be the interpreters of Christ's will, and their decisions be enforced upon the people by civil law. And what would this be but papacy over again? Well called in the prophecy an image of that beast. What these national reformers, Christian nationalists, desire and design to secure in their campaign is expressed by one of the secretaries of said association, F.M. Foster, in the Christian Statesman. This was in 1892. But one danger lies in this. This church does not speak as a church. The American Sabbath Union has done a good work. The denominations have spoken, but the Christian organized church has not officially gone to Washington and spoken. The work there has been largely turned over to associations, but the voice of God, authoritative, official, is through his church. Should there not be joint action of the denominations in this? They should, it would appear, appoint a joint committee to speak for God, and properly and courageously done, there can follow but the very best results. Much is lost by the church failing officially to speak at the right time and in the right place. No association is clothed with this authority. They are individual and social, but the church is divine. She can and ought to utter the voice of God in the halls of Congress as an organized church. This has been their intention for a very long time. And the Bible predicted it even long before that. But we're seeing here, this image of the papacy is the combination of church and state. Once church and state are combined, then they're able to enforce their dogmas. And one of those things is called the mark of the beast. Now, I want to play a clip for you now. And let me know if the audio is coming through. Okay, audio is not coming through. I will fix this. We will do this again.
That we needed not just a political realignment, but also a spiritual reawakening. We did.
Good. Now, the one problem I'm having is because of this, I am not able to hear it. I'm going to log in to our own live stream so that I can hear what I'm playing for you guys. Okay.
that we needed not just a political realignment, but also a spiritual reawakening. We did. And we have to bring back that we needed.
I apologize because there's too long of a delay. Give me one moment.
Not just a.
There we go. I think it should be good now.
Political realignment, but also a spiritual reawakening. We did. And we have to bring back religion to America, because without borders, law and order, and religion, you really don't have a country anymore. We want religion brought back to America. We want to bring God back into our beautiful USA like never before. We want God back.
You cannot defeat us. You cannot slow us. You cannot stop us. You cannot deter us. We will carry Charlie and Eric.
Oh, is it? Oh, I apologize. I thought it was sharing the screen. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Okay. What about now? Do you see it?
That we needed not just a political realignment, but also a spiritual reawakening. We did. And we have to bring back religion to America, because without borders, law and order, and religion, you really don't have a country anymore. We want religion brought back to America. We want to bring God back into our beautiful USA like never before. We want God back.
You can.
So he's saying here, and we've heard this a lot from Trump, and this is at the Charlie Kirk Memorial. This is a very fascinating event. There's a lot of things that happened at this event, and I did a whole video talking about this, breaking down some of the little pieces, and that should be coming out at the start of this week. It's not out yet, so you don't need to look for it yet, but keep an eye out for it. It should be coming out hopefully Monday. Now, bring back God to America like it has never been. Now,
You cannot defeat us. You cannot slow us. You cannot stop us. You cannot deter us. We will carry Charlie and Erica in our heart every single day and fight that much harder because of what you did to us. You have no idea the dragon you have awakened. You have no idea how determined we will be.
So that is very fascinating. That you have awakened a dragon. Isn't that what the Bible said? This is biblical language he's using. Speaking like a dragon, you have awakened the dragon, and it's going to speak, and it is going to put into effect the image, and it is going to put laws in place, and it is going to speak. That's what the speaking part is, the legislative power. Putting things in, speaking as a dragon, as the dragon.
To save this civilization.
In Romans 13, the Apostle Paul talks about a godly government instituted by our Lord and Savior. And what does he describe? The Apostle Paul describes how God establishes the rulers of the nations. In the audience right now, there are rulers of our land. He says that rulers wield the sword for the protection of good men and for the terror of evil men. May we pray that our rulers here, rightfully instituted and given power by our God, wield the sword for the terror of evil men in our nation in Charlie's memory.
That is a very strong statement. He wants people to have terror, the evil ones to have terror. But who is evil? Evil is that which is of a different opinion, is a heretic, according to these Protestant churches, according to their edicts, according to their laws. Now, if they enforce this Sunday law that we know is coming, the Bible says is coming, and you don't worship on Sunday, then what? Then there will be terror. Take a listen to this.
You can map it out. Like, all right, we got 57,000 buildings to take over. Within those 50,000, 7,000, millions of people to convince, tons of ministers. Like, that's decades of work. Or, hear me out. Hear me out.
I'm ready.
The president, the sovereign, the magistrate, Baron Trump, he comes out and he says,
The king.
I've taken a task force. We've gone through every website. We've driven by every building. And we have logged thousands of churches with pride flags out front, women on the clergy. And there are soldiers on the street now. We are taking their property and we are giving it to the faithful churches in town.
Amen. Love it.
That is completely,
Love it.
historically, within the realm of the magistrate. He can do that. You are an apostate, wicked church.
That's
and
right.
your building, your land, your heritage is taken from you.
Okay. This is no longer freedom of religion. This is church-state structure. This is papacy all over again. If you do not do and believe and practice as we deem right, you will have your property taken away, you will have your rights taken away, and we will confiscate it. This is
You can map it out. Like, all right, we got 57,000. Bear the fruits of it.
That's why.
You are an apostate, wicked church.
That's
and
right.
your building, your land, your heritage is taken from you.
That's
and
why
it
I'm
is given
saying,
to
like-
those that will bear the fruits of it.
That's why I'm saying, I know it sounds crazy, but when Trump and Vance were sitting, there on the
Yeah,
second
yeah.
row in that pew, and Vance's wife is sitting next to him, and she's like, "What?" Like,
This is
I'm
Christianity?
feeling sympathetic. I was like, "No wonder she's a Hindu."
I'm about to become one too.
I think I might become one too. But in her defense, just real quick disclaimer, I think that she's coming
think
along,
that. We think
and
that,
he
yeah.
Vance has explicitly said that the kids are being raised Catholic and not Hindu. But anyways, he's looking over at his doting wife who adores her husband, is following his lead, and looking over at President Trump, and meanwhile this hackling hen, this short-haired, Episcopal female priestess is arguing about, diversity is our strength, and we're mean and we're tyrannical. We need more immigrants, from the third world to be dropped on our doorstep to come like locusts and eat everything that Americans have built over the last 2.5 centuries. And they're looking at each other, and I, like, everything in me, I remember thinking distinctly that, like, my first instinct when I watched it, despite being a Baptist, despite being a Protestant, despite my views of separation of church and state and all these things, I remember sitting there thinking, Trump and Vance should stand up and say, "Silly woman," as Trump says so well, "Be quiet, silence, liberal heretic. The magistrate is here, and he pronounces that this is not of God." The civil magistrate, even in our American system, to say your property is seized and you're out on the street would be glorious.
And that's kindness.
That
You're
would be
out on the street,
The
taking your
street
property
instead
out
of jail
is
or the guillotine.
moderate, soft position.
Wow. That is the moderate soft position. Now, you're going to be wondering, well, what if they blend the two? Saturday and Sunday is okay. Here's the thing. At the memorial, the Charlie Kirk Memorial, what did Erica say? She said go to church on what day? Sunday. And the Sunday after that. And continue. The thing is, we need to be very careful not to get caught up in seeing some of these things. There's Seventh-day Baptists, there's Jews, they keep the Sabbath better than most Adventists do. The thing is, the end goal is Sunday sacredness, not playing both sides. That's only to get people to cross over. How can we make them move our direction and deceive them into thinking that everything's okay? It is not going to be something that is going to be a long-term process. This is very clear. I haven't shown you the strongest quotes yet. Just wait. Rome, having the power, destroyed vast multitudes of those whom she adjudged heretics. And they use this word heretics. The Protestant church has shown the same spirit. Have they not? Right here we're seeing that they have shown the same spirit. Witness the burning of Michael Servetus by the Protestants of Geneva with John Calvin at their head. Witness the long-continued oppression of dissenters by the Church of England. Witness the hanging of Quakers and whipping of Baptists, even by the Puritan fathers of New England, themselves fugitives from like oppression by the Church of England. But these, some may say, are things of the past. Very true. Yet they show that when persons governed by strong religious prejudice have the power to coerce dissenters, they cannot forbear to use it. A state of things which we look for in this country under a further fulfillment of the closing prophecy of chapter 13. We are seeing this right now. Right now, we are seeing this happening. If this doesn't wake you up and realize we need to do something, we need to be ready because things are happening fast. Whenever the church has obtained secular power, she has employed it to punish dissenters for her doctrines, from her doctrines. Protestant churches that have followed in the steps of Rome by forming alliance with worldly powers have manifested a similar desire to restrict liberty of conscience. An example of this is given in the long-continued persecution of dissenters by the Church of England during the 16th and 17th centuries. Thousands of nonconformist ministers were forced to flee from their churches, and many, both of pastors and people, were subject to fine, imprisonment, torture, and martyrdom. This system, not the exact same effects, but this system is coming back, and it's coming back first to America, then to the entire world. So it doesn't matter where you are, you're not going to escape it. But it will come to America first. America first. Now, listen to this.
But what I do believe, and that my definition is that a Christian nationals refers to a self-conscious Christian nation, so a people group saying we are Christian, and then acting in light of that, meaning we're Christian, so we're going to act for our good. So this is what nations do generally: is they basically organize politics and all that, and they arrange themselves for their good. I'm saying as a Christian people, you're not just going to seek the temporal things of life, which are good, like being able to exercise your vocation and the good of family life and all that. You're also going to seek after, within the way you order yourselves as a people, for Christian, like specifically Christian ends. So this would include things like, I think, Sabbath laws, which would, on Sundays, would essentially, we could talk about this more, but it essentially kind of close down businesses and of an emergency and essential services.
Okay, so he just mentioned Sabbath laws. I was told my audio is out of sync, so I'm just going to try and restart it here. Give me 1 second. Okay. Hopefully this is in sync now. If not, we're going to have to roll with it out of sync. Okay. So he mentioned Sabbath laws, and that will be Sunday, he said.
But what I do believe, and that my
Now, listen to this next clip.
the best critique is basically that what you're doing is it's a de facto privileging of Christianity, because which religion has the Sabbath on Sunday? Well, it's Christianity, and so you're not doing it on Saturday. You're not doing it. So you're explicitly saying this is a Christian land, and we're going to all force you to obey some sort of Christian. And so that's the best critique. And I would just say, well, that's exactly what it does. I would just one of those things. I'm not going to reject their objection. I'm just going to affirm it. Yes, like that's what Christian nationalism is actually saying we're going to privilege the true religion, which is Christianity. And so, we are privileging a Christian, holy day in a sense. Every, a good Presbyterian, every Sunday is holy. And we're going to do that because we're a Christian nation. That's the idea of Christian nationalism. So I'm not going to retreat to, it's good for all. And of course, everyone gets the day off.
Yeah.
But it is an explicit recognition of the kind of of privileging of Christianity.
Okay. So again, we see a privilege of Sunday, and he said, not Saturday. No, Sunday. So if you're wondering, are they going to do both? No, we're not going to do that. We're going to do just Sunday because that's the Christian Sabbath. The word Sabbath legally, since the early 1900s, is Sunday in the government. Since the early 1900s, it was voted that the word Sabbath means Sunday, the first day of the week. So when they say Sabbath, it does not mean Saturday. It does not mean the seventh day. It means Sunday, the first day. Now, this is extremely important. Listen to this one.
Here's 5 criteria for voting. Number 1, America should be a Christian nation. I'm a Christian nationalist. And so, yes, I would require a public profession of faith that you're a Christian in order to vote. So my first requirement before getting into anything else is faith. It's religion. You should be a Christian. Well, what kind of Christian, Joel? A creedal, historic creed Christian. You should have to publicly affirm the Nicene Creed, the Apostles' Creed. Well, what about Catholics? Could they vote? Yes. Well, what about Eastern Orthodox?
Okay. In order to vote, you need to be Christian. Now listen carefully. Guys, listen. He just said, can Catholics vote? Yes. Listen.
Orthodox? Yes. Well, what about Baptists and Anglicans and Episcopalians and Presbyterians? Yes. What about Mormons? No. It's a cult. No. Jehovah's Witness, what about them? Nope, they're not Christian. Seventh-day Adventists? Nope, they're not Christian. It is a cult.
Wow. Did you hear what he said? What about Seventh-day Adventists? Nope. They're not Christian. They're a cult. I don't know how to say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. We are deceiving ourselves as Adventists, thinking that we can be friends and get along with these Protestant churches. I'm not talking about individuals. I'm not talking about not being, friends with your neighbors and things. I'm talking about this. I'm talking about we're deceiving ourselves to think that we can work in alignment with an ideology that is directly opposed to the three angels' message, to the message that we are called to bear, which is to warn people of the mark of the beast, and they're the ones enforcing it. How can the two walk together unless they're agreed? They cannot. So whether or not they claim to keep the Sabbath, whether or not they claim to be Christians, love God, love Jesus, all of these things, read the Bible. That is not the criteria. In the parable, it said the man went to Jesus, I prophesied in your name. I cast out demons in your name. And Jesus said, I never knew you. Depart from me, you practice iniquity or lawlessness. The thing is, the image of the beast is coming. And we are going to be affected by it. We're deceiving ourselves to think that it's going to be an easy road. We're deceiving ourselves to think that we'll skirt around the issue. We're deceiving ourselves in not taking a stand and a move now, and not telling people and warning people of what's coming, because what's coming is something worse than you could ever imagine. And as we continue the final countdown studies, you're going to see the line of events, and it's not pretty. It's not pretty unless you're heeding God's warning. Then it's still not pretty, but you're going to have protection because you have heeded the warning, like Noah and all the others. But you have to see the signs and heed the signs as they come. He just said, Seventh-day Adventists are not Christians, they're a cult. That is what they believe. That is not true. Obviously not. But that is what they think. And that is how they will treat it. Odd, singular, straight-laced, extremist cult.
Here's 5 criteria.
Closely associated with this working of miracles is the erection of an image to the beast. The deception accomplished by the working of the miracles prepares the way for compliance with this demand for the formation of an image to the beast. Are we going to be deceived by these miracles, by the apparent working of the Holy Spirit, this revival that is coming? When Protestantism shall stretch her hand across the gulf to grasp the hand of the Roman power, when she shall reach over the abyss to clasp hands with spiritualism, when under the influence of this threefold union, our country shall repudiate every principle of its constitution as a Protestant and Republican government. People don't think that can actually happen. The Constitution is going to be gone at some point because it's against the plan, and shall make provision for the propagation of papal falsehoods and delusions. Then we may know that the time has come for the marvelous working of Satan, that the end is near. Now, true or false revival. This is connected with this. Before the final visitation of God's judgments upon the earth, there will be among the people of the Lord such a revival of primitive godliness as has not been witnessed since the apostolic times. This is amongst God's people. God's people are those who are willing to stand on the truth though the heavens fall, and who are studying humbly to try and find what the truth is. Now, listen to the next part of this statement. The Spirit and power of God will be poured out upon his children. At that time, many will separate themselves from those churches in which the love of this world has supplanted love for God and his word. Many both of ministers and people will gladly accept those great truths which God has caused to be proclaimed at this time to prepare people for the Lord's second coming. The enemy of souls desires to hinder this work. And before the time for such a movement shall come, he will endeavor to prevent it by introducing a counterfeit. There's going to be a counterfeit revival. In those churches which he can bring under his deceptive power, he will make it appear that God's special blessing is poured out. It's going to look like God is there. His blessing is there. There will be manifest what is thought to be great religious interest. We need to go back to church. We need to get in our Bible. We need all these things. Multitudes will exalt that God is working marvelously for them. when the work is that of another spirit. Wow. Under a religious guise, Satan will seek to extend his influence over the Christian world. It was by satanic aid that Pharaoh's magicians were enabled to counterfeit the work of God. Paul testifies that before the second advent of Christ, there will be similar manifestations of satanic power. The coming of the Lord is to be preceded by the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness. And the Apostle John, describing the miracle-working power that will be manifested in the last days, declares, "He doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men." Fire down from heaven. That is pretty strong. "And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do." No mere impostors are here foretold. Men are deceived by the miracles which Satan's agents have power to do, not which they pretend to do. It's not going to be fake. It's not going to be fake fire. It will be fire from heaven. Real fire. It'll look like real miracles because it is real miracles, but it's not God doing these miracles. How do you know what the Spirit is? Does it align to the truth? Does it uphold the commandments and the spirit of prophecy? Because that is the sign of the people of the last days, is that God's people have the commandments and the spirit of prophecy. If they speak not according to these words, there is no light in them. Even if they say some good things, even if they say a lot of good things, we have to be careful when we like something that someone said. That doesn't mean that everything they say is good, and that doesn't mean we should promote them. Even Satan has said true things to people. Those who look for miracles as a sign of divine guidance are in grave danger of deception. And if you've seen miracles, that does not mean God is there. It is stated in the word that the enemy will work through his agents who have departed from the faith. Who is that? Who's departed from the true faith? This is ex-Adventists. Ex-Adventists are going to bring fire down from heaven. Are you reading this? Are you paying attention to what's happening here? And they will seemingly work miracles, even to the bringing down of fire out of heaven in the sight of men. These are people who have departed from the faith, not never been in the faith, who have departed from the faith. These evangelists, these pastors who you've watched, who talk about Jesus' second coming and the Sabbath and everything else, going to bring fire down from heaven until you go to church on Sunday. Take the mark of the beast. You don't need to prepare. You don't need to be in the country. You don't need all of these things. These are the ones who are going to bring fire down from heaven. And he causeth all, everyone, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. This is the end goal of the image of the beast. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark of the name of the beast or the number of his name. If you can't buy or sell, you need to be able to have a way that you can survive. Noah, when he couldn't buy and sell, when he was in the ark, had to have the ark prepared to sustain him and all the other life that was in there. The same for us. We need an ark that is ready to sustain us and all the others who are coming to join us because of the loud cry that we are giving to the world. Again and again, the Lord has instructed that our people are to take their families away from the cities, into the country, where they can raise their own provisions for in the future, the problem of buying and selling will be a very serious one. We should now, in 1904, now, not tomorrow, not when you pray and God tells you, now. Now is 100 years gone. When God says, keep the Sabbath, don't kill, don't murder, do you say, Lord, is it right for me not to kill? Is it right for me to keep the Sabbath? Is it right for me to prepare for the no buy, no sell? Yes, it is. And I know everybody has a different situation. There was those creatures who could not build an ark, so they still got on the ark. They got on someone else's ark. They joined someone else. And maybe some of the horses helped to pull the wagons around to feed the other animals. They did what they could to help inside the ark. And then help afterward to cultivate the ground and all of these things. Even if you feel, I can't do this, you pray. You say, God, where's the ark that I need to get on? And he will show you. He will show you. That's a promise. He never asks anything of us that we cannot do with his help. We should now begin to heed the instruction given us over and over again. Get out of the series into rural districts where the houses are not crowded closely together and where you'll be free from the interference of enemies. And then this is what I put as the 3 pillars of a country property. Land, water, and wood. These 3 things. How much, how to get it, and how much. Land, how much do I need? This is a very important question. Water, how am I going to get it? And you could put how much there as well. Wood, how much wood do I need? I need to heat my house. I need things for, maybe I need a fence post, or I need to make a board, or I need to, a stake or something. I need some trees. I need some things. And how much land does it take? I need property. I need wood on there. I need a source of water. I need land for a garden and fields and all of these things. Now, when God was talking to Noah and told him that flood was coming, how big of a boat did Noah make? And how long did it take him? 120 years. For some reason, we think because we think Sunday law is coming tomorrow, then it's an excuse to not make as good of a boat. Our boat needs to be as big as it needs to be to support the life that is in it. We can't say, well, it's so close, God will just have to make up the gaps. That's not right. We need to say, Lord, get me the place. And he will. Our faith is too small. We think that he can work a miracle and he can, make a hole in a mountain for us to walk through, but he can't get us a property. We think he can do miracles, but he can't get us a property. We need to make sure that we are not limiting God. Part of this whole process of leaving the city is to purify our minds, purify our hearts, letting go. Because here's the thing, a lot of us might think we've let go of it all, but we're not moving. Why aren't we moving if we've let go of it all? If we've let go of our work and money and all of these things? Because maybe the truth is that we haven't let go of it all. We need to have a pure heart. We need to be in the country in order to get that character. If Jesus had to go into the mountains every day, do we think we're better than Jesus? That we can do it right in the middle of the wicked cities? We can't. We can't get that character. We can't get that humility. We can't get that love. We can't get the desire for souls. When you're in the wickedness, you don't see the wickedness of sin. When you're out and you come back, it appears so blatant. But when you're around people who see it, oh yeah, that's just normal. That's how it is. It's not that bad. Yeah, it's unfortunate. No. The sinfulness of sin. And we need to rid our hearts of all of these things. When we do that, God can work. Look at this. This is an example of how big Ellen White's garden was. Her personal garden. Okay? This is Ellen White and James White. Father has excellent health. He has worked hard on the place here, put in more than 1 acre of strawberries. 1 acre. That's about 210 feet by 210 feet. Some raspberries, more than 1 acre of potatoes, several acres of corn, 50 hard maples, many peach trees, pear trees, and 2 long rows of pie plant, that's squash or pumpkin. I have been gathering up shrubs and flowers until we have quite a garden. She calls this 6+ acres of garden. Just, it's quite a garden. It's quite nice. And this was just their personal garden. And that seems unfathomable. Fathomable for most people. 6 acres of garden? Impossible. But they did it. Her and James did it. This is doable. All you need to do is think differently. If you worked on a little garden and you had a couple raised beds, you're like, oh, this takes all my time. How in the world could I do 1 acre, 2 acres, 5 acres of garden? It's impossible. No. A little garden the size of this room can take as much time as 1 acre of a larger garden because your methods change. It's kind of like if you have a little knife with a Swiss Army knife or a Leatherman with a saw on it, and it's this big, and you can cut a little twig, and then someone says, oh, for our fire this winter we need 6 cords of wood, and a cord is 4 feet by 4 feet by 8 feet long. How am I going to do that with this little saw? It'll take me forever. I'll never finish. Well, no, you need to get a different saw. You get a bigger saw. Maybe a big crosscut saw or bow saw or a chainsaw. Your method changes. Your thought process changes on how to accomplish these things. So it's the education of the things that changes. And Ellen White says that we need to educate our people to be able to survive Sunday law. This is one of the tasks that we have, is to educate the people to be ready. And that's what we do at Amazing Discoveries. If you haven't seen already our How to Country channel, go to How to Country on YouTube. We have our Amazing Discoveries Farm Facebook page, and you'll see all the stuff we're doing on the farm. You probably think that this is all we do. This isn't all we do. Go to our Amazing Discoveries Farm Facebook. Go to our How to Country channel. It is so important to show our people how to get ready, because that is how they will be able to not take the mark of the beast and still be able to eat when the no buy, no sells here. I'm going to make an ask right now. I'm making a special ask to you or anyone you know. We have a large work to do. Adventism has a massive work in preparing the people of God for the times that are coming. We have a huge ministry to do. We have so much work, and we want to show people exactly how to do these things. But we can't do it ourselves. We need help. There's many ideas that we have. There's a project that I have in mind. I've never mentioned this I don't believe I've ever mentioned this publicly. And we don't have the ability to do this now. We need people to step up to the plate to help us with these things. We want to do training sessions for people. We want to do a documentary series going through a whole year of living and growing and feeding like Sunday law. Showing what it would look like with no gas, no fuel, no electricity, nothing. And growing all that you need to do, prepping ground and everything. Showing what it would look like and how much food to support people for an entire year. That's a huge undertaking. And we need production people, we need camera people, we need editors, we need all this kind of people to make this happen, because we're maxed out on what we can do. And we're maxed out on the funds to accomplish some of these things. We would need people to come in and say, hey, we want to see this happen because we want to show that this is possible. Because it is. If God's asking us to do it, it's possible. If Ellen White did it, it's possible. The problem is, over the last 100 years, we've lost it all. Or most of us have lost it all. I've been digging for most of my life on how to make this possible. If you've seen some of our things, we have oxen that we're working with on getting them to work the garden. This will be part of this process, is showing people, is this possible? Yes, it's possible. Yes, it's doable. And bringing people to train. We are planning to do some traveling, at least on a little bit of the West Coast this winter, if God allows us to train people how to give the final message, to train people, do short training sessions. But we need support. We need people to say, we want this. We need this. We need help in so many areas. If you have talents that you want to use for God, maybe you've never even thought about this before, contact us, message us, email us, call our office and say, hey, MacKenzie made an ask and you're looking for consecrated people who believe in the true Bible understandings to help spread the message. I have this experience. I'm able to do this. I'm able to do this. I have these talents. We need a farm manager. We need someone to take over some of these jobs. We have a 6-acre market garden. And myself and some of the team are the ones who do this. But in order for us to do more, we need help in order to look after some of these things so that we can expand and reach more people to get more people ready. And the closer we are, the more we have to do this. And the more people we need to get ready faster. I'm asking for your prayers, your support, your all of this. The end is coming very quickly. This last slide here, I believe it is the last slide. These are the areas of a self-sufficient homestead. This is what I think is some of your things that you need to think about. Your garden and greenhouse, absolutely critical. Livestock, I mean, we can't talk about all this right now. If there's any specific questions, put them in the comments. Logging, food preservation, household essentials, water system and storage, energy and power management, natural remedies, the right arm of the gospel. This is so important, the right arm of the gospel. This is something that we're doing right now, doing health consultations with people, helping them with natural remedies, show them how to change their lives, show them how they can eat better, nutrition. What does that look like? Construction, education. We need physical books. physical books, when we don't have Google or YouTube to help us. And then emergency. What do we need for emergency? These things we need to be thinking about now. And I'm not trying to put fear. I'm not trying to do excitement or anything like this. I'm talking purely about what the Bible is saying is coming. And we need to be aware that it is going to happen. It is coming. It's prophesied it's coming, and we can see the image of the beast forming right under our nose. And we need to be ready for what's coming, because it'll come on a time that you do not even realize. There's going to be people saying, I knew this would happen, but I didn't think it would happen so soon. So we need to be ready. Let's take some questions. Okay. Destiny Lynn. Some people believe that Trump will be the one who sets the Sunday law. Some also believe that the people will push for the Sunday law to be put in place. What do you think about it? Well, we're told, Ellen White says, that is the churches who are going to go to the state, and actually they are the ones who are going to request for the Sunday law to be enforced. I mean, you've seen this right here with these guys. They said, Trump should do this. And whether Trump does it or not, it's going to be pushed from the churches. They're saying we need to discipline these heretics. We need to enforce this Sunday law. Not Saturday, no other day, Sunday law. And will Trump do it? I don't know. If so, we have even less time. We need to be acting. God wants us to be acting now. We don't have a time frame. We're living in time no longer. Revelation 10 talks about this time no longer space. We don't have any time prophecies right now saying how long until Sunday law and then how long after Sunday law. All we know is that it's going to take years of Sunday law, because we're going to have to grow our own food throughout this process. It's not going to be a couple days or a couple months. It's going to be here for a little while. So we need to be ready for that. Could it come right away? By the way things are moving, they're happening extremely fast. Okay. Menahem, I believe I actually answered your question while we were going. What if they allow you to worship on Saturday like Charlie Kirk and keep Sunday as well? This is not going to be the case for very long. Maybe initially to get you to try and convince you, but it's not going to be a long-term thing. Light from behind. Question: if we see the image forming, is that also an indication that Turkey will start making moves as well toward Jerusalem? I've just did a couple shorts over the last couple days, and things are continuing to be riled up. Right now, Turkey's making moves. And right now, I mean, the things that are happening in the Middle East are working up unbelievably quickly. And yes, if we see Turkey making moves, that means that Sunday law is even closer. So when we see these things, it should stir us to move quickly. Gary, if Social Security stops on the 1st of October 2025 due to government shutdown, will they give a UBI, Universal Basic Income, mark of the beast? I did another video on this. In the UK, they said by the end of this parliament, there's going to be a digital ID, and if you do not have this, that you will not be able to work. Now, in regards to universal basic income, I can't say whether on October 1st this is going to happen. I would not believe so by October 1st. But this is part of the whole plan, this whole action process. They're going to have a UBI for those who take the mark of the beast. Here, all you have to do is take the mark of the beast and you get this food and this house and this everything. Easy. If you don't, you won't be able to buy or sell. It's that simple. Now, all these things are signs, and when they're talking about it means that we're really close, because they haven't talked about a lot of this stuff before. So we need to be really, it's very important that we keep our eyes wide open. In No C, would there be a coming out of the SDA Church if it chooses to love the world? What is the SDA Church? In Ellen White's first vision, she sees a path going high above the world, and on it is the Advent people. And then she says it's the 144,000. The Seventh-day Adventist Church, the Seventh-day Adventist movement and people are the church. And the people who love the truth more than anything else. Even if the government institute organization, the 501c3 SDA Church, gets wiped out, or if some of the leaders are apostate, it's irrelevant to the movement. Those who hold fast to the foundations, who hold fast to the teachings of our past history, this is the true Seventh-day Adventist. We are not to leave the Seventh-day Adventist movement and form a new organization. We have one movement, and it has started, and we're continuing that movement, and it's the same message it has always been from 1840 all the way through to today. If you haven't already, go back to our Judgment Day studies. Go to the Judgment Day documentary webpage. All the studies are there. It is so critical that we understand some of this history. So please go through those studies. The study notes are all there. Oh, by the way, if you haven't already, please subscribe, because you're going to get all of our study notes. The study notes for tonight, you'll get to your email, and then you'll have all the Bible verses and quotes to go with all the studies. So make sure you join our newsletters. Okay. Pilgrim's Progress. Will AD do online courses in the future, maybe on prophecy? Yes, we are working on this. We literally are working on this, but we need support. There's just so much work to do. And I know everyone is wanting training. We're working on training plans. We're working on sessions that we are going to be able to do, online courses. This is something that we are actively working on. And we need to, please keep us in your prayers as we go through this, because we have to take it one step at a time. Gary, in 1904, she said that. Do you think it might be too late now? Here's the thing. When is it too late to get on the ark? When the flood isn't here and the door's open and you can see the ark over there. You're like, oh, it's too late. I can't build my own ark. Oh, I can see it, but it's probably too late to get on. I'll just sit here and wait, and hopefully something good will happen. No, you start running to the ark. That's what you do. If you see that ark door, you start running to the ark door. If you think it's that close. If you think it's too late, you just move quicker. And you pray, Lord, move now. Help me move now. Get me the place now. Show me where to be. It is not too late. If Sunday law is not here, it's not too late. People 20 years ago that I talked to, they said, oh, it's too late. Sunday law is going to be here within 5 years. It hasn't. God is so merciful. He wants us ready. Now, if you become slothful, if you become Laodicean, then you won't be ready because you're not trying to be ready. But those who want to be ready will be ready. And if you want it and you say, Lord, thank you that Sunday law isn't here. Thank you because I haven't been able to do this yet. Help me do this now. Then he will help you. 100%. And it is not too late. As long as time is still open, it is not too late. Cryptic clashes, something like this. What are some water sources you have, and do you use different water sources for different purposes? Yes, and yes. I think the more water sources you have, the better. If you have rain, that's great. If you have a well, that's great. If you have a creek, that's great. If you have all of these things, as many sources you can have, the better. Pond, great. You can get it from snow, from, into a pond if you have an area. If you have water close to the surface, sometimes you can have a shallow well, you can have a drilled well. I think having some of these main sources are really critical. And then adding to them some of these supplementary things, whether it be rainwater with cisterns in the ground so it doesn't freeze and all of this, the more options, the better. If you have a metal roof, you can collect all the water from the roof, and that's a great thing. So diversify. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, if I could put it that way as a vegan. But the more forms of water, I shouldn't say vegan, plant-based, not vegan. Vegan is now something you don't want to say. The more sources of water, the better. I don't advise being right on a river because that river can overflow. The banks can be swept in. You want to be a good ways from a river. And if there is a river on your property, don't be right beside it, because I've seen way too many times when a tiny little creek, a little river, and people are close by it, and it takes away part of the property, it takes away part of the house, and that's not good. So you want to be aware of that and be a little bit careful with some of those things. Manuel, death decree will come. What should be our attitude when we face this situation? When the death decree comes, Daniel 12 verse 1 says God's people will be saved from it. This is an incredible promise. This is something the devil would love, is to kill God's people right at the end. But he will not be given the chance to. Now, this is for those who have heeded the counsel and who have been sealed and have not taken the mark of the beast. The death decree comes only, and this is part of the studies that we're going to see later, right at the end, during the sixth plague. A lot of people think close of probation, death decree. It's not how it works. We're going to be on our properties throughout the time of the plagues until the sixth plague, until the death decree comes, and then we're going to be fleeing into the wilderness, and we're going to be doing this for 15 days. We're going to get to some of those details in some of the later studies, though. Relaxation TV. Is there going to be a point where we will have to leave our country properties and our source of food behind and rely fully on God? Yes, that's the death decree. This is the full time of Jacob's trouble, and I say it in that way for a reason. When for 15 days we are fleeing into the wilderness and we are fleeing from our properties, and we have to rely 100% wholly on God. That is when we will have to leave our country properties, not before. There is some horrible doctrine circulating that we have to leave our country property before Sunday law. This is absolutely terrible. That is the reason we're getting the country property, is to sustain ourselves during Sunday law. And now we're going to leave it right when we're getting to that point. This is dangerous teachings. And no, our country property is so that we can be honoring God and ministering from that point, giving the loud cry from our self-sufficient homestead. Let me just reference the study guides again. We have the whole book of Daniel. Daniel study guides. If you go to danielstudies.amazingdiscoveries.org, danielstudies.amazingdiscoveries.org, we have the whole book of Daniel. Verse by verse, it is walking you through with so much information. Guys, go take a look at that. We talk about all the chapters, stuff that I know you'll have never seen before talked about. So please go, I think it's right there. Go to that link. Relaxation TV, also, how is that going to look on the timeline with being sealed? Is the growing food going to be after the sealing, and what about plagues? Okay, good question. Let me see if I can just pull this up quickly and show you the timeline here. Let me just pull this up. Okay. Can we see this? If we look here, image of the beast, no buy, no sell, Sunday law. Sunday law, image of the beast, Sunday law, no buy, no sell. This starts the time of growing your own food, which means that you don't get to the country right there and you don't start growing your food right then, because you need to learn how, and that takes years. I said years. And I know that's a scary thought, but when you first started hearing this message, like a lot of you have many years ago, if you started having a garden then, it would be years already. Or if you went to someone to train. That's why we're trying to institute training here at Amazing Discoveries. We have our farm apprenticeship program. You can come and you can be here and you can learn how to do this. And it'll save you years. Because some of us will have to learn a few months what it took others years to learn. It took me years to learn about doing all of these things and researching and traveling and talking to the right people. You need to learn how to do this quickly, so it's not wasting time failing more than you need to. Everyone's going to fail at some point. But that's why we need this now, so that when the no buy, no sell comes, we have worked out some of those kinks. So here, grow your own food, and it goes all the way through till the New World Order structure is fully implemented, the time of Jacob's trouble during the sixth plague here. And that is how long our time frame of growing our food is going to be. And again, you have access to these slides and presentations if you're on our newsletter. Okay. Robert Michael, what about those that are to lose their heads? Or did that already happen? There's no quote or Bible verse I've seen that says that the people at the end will lose their heads. I know a lot of people are insinuating about the martyrs and some of these things, but the death decree doesn't happen until the plagues, at the point where God says that none of the faithful will die. So when we're looking here, a lot of people mix up the time of tribulation when Jesus is talking in Matthew 24 around verse 20. That time of great tribulation was actually the dark ages of 538 to 1798. That's talked about in the book Desire of Ages. Now, if you have a quote or reference for maybe what you're asking, that'll be a little bit easier and clearer for me. But at the moment, that's about all I can say on that. Okay, Anna Marie, I'm thinking of leaving the U.S. Would that give any extra time? It possibly would. I cannot give you a statement on that because I do not know how long it will be from when the U.S. enforces their Sunday law to when Canada, Australia, any of the other countries are going to do something like this. So we just need to go exactly where God tells us. That's the most important thing. If God says, move here, you move, period. And you might say, well, I don't have, the criteria in my state. If you haven't, guys, please, and if someone can put this on the screen, the study from the final countdown called You Must Watch This Before Sunday Law. You have to watch this before Sunday Law. Can we get that link and put it on the screen here, please? You have to watch that. You have to watch this. We went through and we lined up every one of the criteria from the Bible and the Spirit of Prophecy on what you need to be doing and looking for. It's really important you understand this. And if your state doesn't have that, you have to move states. If your country doesn't have that, if you're one of the little countries in Europe that is so restrictive and there's no country, you have to move countries. Abraham had to move a country. And we need to be willing to go wherever we need to survive. This is going to be the greatest time of trouble that the world has ever seen. And we're thinking we need to give as little effort as possible. No, it'll take everything that we have. Everything we have. We'll have to give up family, friends, places, jobs, all of it in order to prepare for this event and make it through. It'll take laying everything on the line. We can hold nothing back. And when we do that, we'll be told that we are a faithful servant. And when we do that, God will bless. And He will show you how and what to do and where to go. But if we're unwilling because we say, well, I can't do this, then God can't work with that. But He can work with somebody who says, Lord, I don't know how. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. Please show me. And He will show you. 100%. Okay. Inozi has a question. Do you have a direct quote on death decree, New World Order at the Sixth Plague? We're going to get to that in one of the later studies. And there will be plenty of evidence as we go through, as we keep studying this timeline of events, you're going to see things are going to fall in place so beautifully and so incredibly. And we're being warned ahead of time. That's the most amazing part of this, is that God is so merciful. Sunday law is not here yet. You have time. Make time. Make effort. Stop doing what you're doing. Stop watching nonsense. Stop doing what pleasures and put time into this. Say, I'm going to set this time aside every single day, every single week to learn about country living, to learn about homesteading, to watch How to Country YouTube channel, to watch our Amazing Discoveries Farm Facebook page, all of these things. We need to take time. Noah took 120 years to build such an intricate boat. He had the food for every animal. There was koalas on there, which only eat one type of food. There was butterflies that only eat one flower. So he got that flower and he got those butterflies, or he took a chrysalis or whatever he needed to do. All the different things he planned for. You know what else he planned for? He took all the seeds necessary to regrow all the gardens and all the plants. We're told that by the Spirit of Prophecy, that he went around the world and he gathered all the different seeds. That's why we have them now. This was a lot of planning, a lot of work. And us doing it today is not going to be any less work. So we need to really be putting our due diligence into this. We'll take one last question. Ansley, what do they say about bunkers? I don't think it's necessary. If we're talking about tornado bunkers, I don't prefer to live where there's tornadoes. But if we're talking nuclear bunkers for like World War III and things like this, that's why we're supposed to be located so far into the country. where we are not close to the major cities. And we talked about that in that episode that I asked for the link to be on the screen. How far do you need to be from a major city? You need to be far enough away. You need to be in a secluded enough area. You need to be in the mountains so these things aren't affecting you. Do I think everyone needs a bunker? No, I haven't seen that. What I have seen is that we need land to cultivate, to grow enough food, and that is 1 acre per person. So your garden needs to be 1 acre per person. If you have 4 people in your family, it's a 4-acre garden. If you have 6 people in your family, it's a 6-acre garden. It sounds insane. It sounds crazy. It sounds undoable. It is doable. I've done it. We have done it before. And it is possible. But you have to change the way you think. And this isn't only carrots and potatoes and tomatoes. This is your grain, like wheat, growing wheat, which is so easy, so easy. The easiest thing you can grow. Flax, soybeans, all of these things. Sunflowers, all the stuff you need to make oil, all of it. Right on that acre. Now, this doesn't include your wood. This is just your foodstuffs that is coming from that 1 acre per person. But this is what we have to keep in mind. And then we need another land for wood, and then we'll need pasture, because to tell you the truth, I can't hoe a 5-acre garden. But I can walk behind an oxen. I can walk behind a draft animal and plow it up. I can do that. So all of these things need to be considered, and we're talking about all this. If you'd like to see it in person, we do it here. We're working on putting up training sessions together on all of this so that you guys can learn, because we want to make people ready. Okay, I just got a little clarification. That is a bunker over going to the mountains? No, because your bunker is not going to allow you to survive the amount of time necessary for Sunday law. Some people have 6 months in a bunker, some have a year, some have 2 years. After that, you're not going to be able to survive. I don't think you'd survive that long, because you need fresh. You need different kinds of enzymes and nutrients and vitamins that you can't get from MREs. That's good for a certain period of time, but that's how you get scurvy. And in order to be having the stamina of mind, and here's the thing, we're still giving a message to the people around us, the right arm of the gospel, and we're showing them the country property that we have. This is part of the work. People came to see Noah's Ark and they seen it, and that was part of the message. This is part of our message. I'll tell you right now, in my area, a lot of people know, tons of people know that I have oxen. Why? Because it's different. Because they know why I'm doing it, because I tell everybody why I'm doing it. They're like, oh, he's got oxen. Oh yeah, he's trying to get ready for growing his food, and wow, this is amazing. And people talk about it, and they talk about each other. And these aren't Adventist people. I've heard so many times, oh yeah, we were talking about you at this event, and your oxen and what you're doing there, and all of this. It's incredible. It's a ministry. It's a wedge in. When we do God's way, He uses that for us to reach the people. Sister Becky, is it wrong to turn myself in and get beheaded? Absolutely. We're called to stand for Christ and live for Him at this time and give the message, not die. We're not told to do our own dying process. That would be next to suicide. And I know a lot of people, a lot of Adventists say, well, I'll just be a martyr. I'm not going to prepare because I'll be a martyr. You won't end up being a martyr, unfortunately, if that's your choice, because you'll take the mark of the beast. because part of the process of getting ready is how you're sanctified. It is how we change our character. That process of preparing actually changes you inside. It's such an important thing. I can't stress it enough. Even when I got the oxen, I went to train and talk with a guy who was doing a market garden with oxen. And he said to me, and he's not a Christian, the biggest difference was my character development when I got the oxen. And I was floored. I was like, wow, this guy is talking about character development. He's not a Christian, he's not an Adventist, nothing. And then he started explaining it. And then I understood what Ellen White said when the ABFC of Education is agriculture. It was the type of agriculture they were doing. They didn't have rototillers. They weren't even invented yet. They didn't have tractors. It was all animals. And the people had to learn to work and communicate to an animal before they could communicate to a person. That's the training we need. When I got the oxen and I had to learn to communicate with these creatures that don't speak English, you need patience, you need to have a relationship. They're massive, powerful creatures. And you see the respect that you can have, the amazing connection. The one boy we have, he's just like a dog. He just wants to come be pet and lick you and all this stuff. And it's just amazing. And it did cause a change in me. And now I've seen, wow, this isn't just about having a rototiller that breaks and then you throw your wrenches and there's no character development. You do that to your animal and you get overly upset with that and you offend it to the point, it's going to have trust issues. It's going to have problems. So it's a big thing. Turning yourself in is not an option. We're supposed to do what the Bible says, and the Bible never says turn yourself in to be beheaded. It says to stand, prepare so that you can live to be part of the 144,000. Ansley Bright, I said we'll have one last question a couple questions ago, but that's okay. I'm very happy to answer questions. I really love the interaction. I think it's incredible that we can study together and do this. What can we expect within the times of running? What happens after 15 days? Deliverance comes. God says the day and the hour that he will arrive. 15 days we're running in the wilderness, and we're going to be fed with ravens. They will bring us food. Angels will bring us food, and manna will rain from heaven as we're fleeing through the wilderness, as people are chasing us, because the death decree is happening, and it's going to be extremely stressful. It is not going to be, oh, we're just running, but we'll be fine. This will be a time of extreme stress and heart searching. Lord, did I ask forgiveness for all my sins? And that's something we had to do before. And luckily, God's people see that they did ask forgiveness for all of their sins. And then, after he announces the day and the hour of his coming. It's just incredible, but we're going to get to that in the later studies. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Again, these are every 2 weeks now. Every 2 weeks. So we are not studying next week. The next one will be on the 11th, October 11th. Okay, October 11 at 5:30 p.m. PST time. We're continuing through the timeline of final events. I pray that you be ready, and again, contact us. If there's things, studies, training, all of this, help. If you have expertise, production, video, camera, editing, cooking, we need cooks. We need people that can help make good meals. We have stuff that we're offering to the community. We grow wheat and grind our own flour here even. You guys probably never knew that. So all of that we're doing here, and we need so much help. We're trying to put in the training programs for you guys. We're trying to work on some of these documentaries. We're doing the Judgment Day documentary right now. We need help to finish this. This is an important project that needs to go out. Judgment Day documentary. Plus, if you would like to see doing a year growing food with the Sunday Law way, that's some that needs prayer as well, and some that has to be planned. So thank you for joining. God bless. We'll see you in the next study, October 11. We'll see you there.